Hi, good morning. If you're joining me live, please say hello. I will wait a few minutes before beginning so that everyone has a chance to pop over from pre-chat or notifications, and then we'll get started and I'll show you what I'm working on today. Hi, Christy. Thanks for joining live. Hi, Melissa and Lucy. Glad you could be here. Hi, Judy and Luna, Pamela. Hi, Harini and Dee and Benzie and Grace, Lori. Thanks for joining live, everybody. Hi, Melanie and Laura and Carol. And good morning, Joe and Carrie, Christine. Hi, Lily. Hi, Melissa and Cherie. Bjorn and Becker are here at my feet. Hi, Cherie. Thanks for joining live, everybody. Welcome back to Create, Share, Inspire podcast. This is episode 456, and we are live in Southwest Florida, stormy Southwest Florida, and we're in my beautiful tropical backyard. I did not think it was safe to head to the beach this morning. We've been in and out of storms, and it's scheduled to storm for a good portion of the day. So, thought it was safer to keep my phone here. um, So hopefully everybody had a good weekend. I got lots of work done because that's what I do on my weekends. And I finished the baby blanket that I've been showing for the last week or so. It is not blocked yet, so I'm still working on weaving in the loose ends, but as soon as I do, I will then get to block it. And it will be square shaped then and have this beautiful, slightly ruffled border. It's going to be so beautiful. And so I'm weaving in the loose ends on that. I spent the good portion of Sunday working on the chart for the center section of the blanket. So the lace section in here is what I did the chart on so far. So next up I'll have to write the chart for the edging, and then I'll be able to write the written instructions for it, make a video for it, and then release the pattern. So that should all happen this week. In the meantime, and then I'm debating whether or not I make a matching hat and booties to go along with it. So that's where my head is on the blanket. I am also, what was I gonna say? Where was I on that? Yeah, so that's still a good chunk of work to get done, but it's possible that that'll all happen this week. It will be beautiful when it's done, and I think I may even convert the hat to be a mommy and me pattern, so there will be an adult version of the hat, because I think this lace combination with that ribbed edging is going to be really beautiful for anybody, not just a baby blanket. So I'm going to make an adult, I'm going to make multiple sizes on the hat. Probably just do baby size. I mean, obviously just do baby sizes on the booties, if I even do the booties. And then the blanket will come with information, you know, on different size blankets if you want to adjust that, like I normally do with my blanket patterns. But before all of that, I'm getting ahead of myself. I wanted to show you some tips on weaving in loose ends this morning. I know I talk about it every now and then, but it's always a good time to talk about good practices for having professional looking finished products. And one of the things that I noticed on this is that I thought was a good thing to talk about is if you don't weave your loose ends in as you go, some of them end up getting more frayed as you go because of just the friction of being dangling there while you're working on your project for any number of days or weeks, pulling it in and out of a project bag, turning it back and forth in your lap. All of that agitation ends up fraying the ends of your tails if they've sat there a long time. More so on different yarns, whatever. Two things that I like to do if those ends get frayed. Let me see if I can find one real quick. None of these are really bad, but it's still something good to talk about. So let's pretend that one of these ends is really badly frayed. Two things you can do. One, snip off the little bit of frayed edge to give yourself a blunt edge. So if you've got a pair of sharp scissors at home, which I'm sure many of you do, You just, okay, so we've got a tiny little fray here. That's not what I'm talking about, but if, just cut it so you've got a nice blunt edge, and then when you have that blunt edge, it's that much easier to get your yarn through your needle. Also, a little spit, never hurt. Lick your fingers and then twist those ends. That helps pull them back together as well, which helps to put your needle through the yarn. Or something that if I don't have those scissors handy and I can't do a blunt edge and those frayed edges are out of control, I'll bend my yarn in half like this and really pinch it tight, okay? I'm gonna pinch it really tight between my fingers. And that bent edge, now this only works with finer yarns, right? It's also going to depend on the yarn and what size yarn needle you have. I do not have the largest eye yarn needle with me this morning. It's some, it's like an average, maybe even a smallish one, but it works really fine for this. So I'm going to pinch that yarn really tightly in half so I've got a bent edge, and that helps get the yarn through the yarn needle. So that's good in a pinch too. Yeah, I see several other people like the fold and pinch method. Sometimes I like that, sometimes I like to clean up the fray. I think it's just personal preference or the mood you're in, right? Don't you often find that your techniques change based on your mood? I know mine do, because for one thing, sometimes I like to weave in my ends as I go, and then I like patting myself on the back the whole time. And then other times, well, someone said it works for all yarns, including thicker yarns. It works depending on the size of the hole in your yarn needle, right? The bigger your yarns, the more you have to consider the size of the yarn needle you're using. But yes, ultimately, if you have the right size yarn needle for your yarn, yes, that would work for any project. Also, sometimes I'll find that as I'm trying to weave in my loose ends, because my eyesight is not the greatest for weaving in loose ends, I can sometimes mistakenly fray my yarn by not grabbing all of the plies when I try to push it through. And if that happens, that's definitely the time to bend it in half and do the pinch and bend method, because that eliminates the separating of your plies. And then as far as weaving in, you should weave in a minimum of 3 directions, a minimum of 4 or 5 inches of your tail. The longer and more directions you weave in your loose end, the more likely you have of a successful woven in end that won't come back out throughout washing and wearing and whatever somebody ends up doing with your finished project, whether you keep it or whether you give it as a gift. More importantly, when you give it as a gift, because 9 times out of 10, that person is nowhere near as familiar at weaving in loose ends as you and I are. Do I knot it? Do I knot what? Do I knot the tail after I weave it in? No. After I've woven it in for several inches in multiple directions, I can then just cut the extra bit off. That's a good question. Yep, Pamela, if you have a very long fray and you can't cut it off, yes, definitely twist and bend. Absolutely. You're welcome, David. I'm happy to help. Always feel welcome to ask your questions. If I can answer them, I will. If I can't, I can try to find the answer. Yeah, Barbara's working on the Mary shawl. The Mary shawl is one of my patterns that's with motifs that you join as you go. So obviously you're going to have two ends to weave in for each of the motifs. That's a great candidate for weaving in your ends as you go. In fact, I believe I did that on my Mary shawl too. And it just made me feel better because it looks so pretty. It's such a beautiful shawl, and you didn't have the ends detracting from its beauty as you were going along. So I feel like that's the right kind of project for sure for working on it as you go. This one here, I only have 2 ends for every ball of yarn I added. I want to say this ended up being 6 or 7 balls. I don't recall offhand. I'll know when the pattern is written, and that will be in the next couple of days. I need to figure out a way to get this up higher. Unfortunately, I could tilt this down so you can see what I'm doing. I can't weave in my loose ends without my lap this morning though. So here we go. So I just messed this one up. So I'm going to twist it again. Give that a try first. Yep, I got everything through. So we'll go in multiple directions. And this isn't the longest tail in the world. I like telling people to use longer tails than this. Obviously, I did not follow my own advice here, but for that reason, I will try to use as much of it as possible and go in and out as much as possible. Let's see, that's pretty good. Okay, so we'll just keep moving around and finding more because I know there's plenty. I'll try to answer questions from here too, but I wanted you to be able to see what I'm doing. Okay, that one went through smoothly on the first try. Okay, so I'll cut that one to get it out of the way of the other one. This is where I added a yarn, so in the places where you added a yarn, you'll have two ends to weave in the same place. And I try to not weave them in over the same spot, because if you weave them in over the very same spot, you'll just add bulk to your finished project, and by adding bulk there, it's an eyesore, right? Not everybody will notice it, but some people will, and you certainly will, and if it's something that's an issue to you, try to avoid weaving in your loose ends in the same exact spot. It just adds extra bulk, and many of us will be able to see it. So we'll go through a different section here. This particular pattern is going to be an excellent candidate for converting this square into a triangle to make a top-down shawl as well. So as soon as I can get to it, I'm going to convert the chart. There, so you can see we have our two ends woven in, and they're side by side instead of right in the same spot, and it just shows a ton less bulk. This will all smooth out a little bit more once I block it, which I don't like doing until I've woven in the ends, because washing loose ends will fray them even more. So it's really important to weave in your loose ends first before blocking or washing. Blocking is one of those words that I know a lot of people get confused about. Essentially, it's making sure how your project is going to react to water. We make wearables, right? We make things that go against the skin. When things go against the skin, they get dirty, and everything that we make eventually has to get washed. So blocking is, first of all, shaping your project after it's been washed or after it's been in water. So the initial blocking is to achieve the correct shape. But then as you wash your project, you're going to lay it flat to reshape it. And sometimes projects need to be reshaped after they're rewashed, and sometimes they do not. This one most likely won't, but the first washing is what's going to get all of our stitches stretched out into their correct positions. It's still a little loosey-goosey because I did lace. So I did a larger hook size than you would generally do for this project so that it would be lacy, and that's why the initial blocking is important, to get that water to relax the fibers into their natural state where they need to go. And depending on what the type of lace you're doing, that can mean an awful lot of different things. Like a lot of really fine weight lace shawls, they need to be laid flat and reblocked after every washing. But some things do, some things don't. And as we go through projects, I will talk about all of that. And always you're going to lay things flat to dry, right? Yeah, David says he's scared of blocking. Yes, I understand so many people have stigmas about blocking, and there's something funny about the word even, because ultimately it has a lot more to do with how you wash and care for something than anything else. So as we go along, I try to talk about that portion, that, you know, we try to talk about the whole process here, right? So I talk about how we come up with stuff, how we pick our colors, or how we pick the yarns for whatever type of project we're making. We make the project, we do all of our professional finishing tips, and then we block and wash things and figure out what we do with them from there. Marie worked the Celeste shawl. Great, that's wonderful. Uh-oh, it's not kitty quake time, Bjorn. Come here. Did you guys see that? He was rubbing his face on the thing again. Yep, wires are a great way if you need a straight edge. Even if you have a scalloped edge, as long as you do it evenly spaced along the edge, the wires are great. I've done lots of videos on that, so if you want to look them up, I have lots of blocking videos, including blocking wire videos. Yep, you can steam. A lot of my books have information on that as well. I should probably do a blog post excerpting some of the book stuff. Yes, you can mist block, you can steam block, you can wet block, all sorts of different ways. But like we said earlier, make sure you weave in your loose ends first. Is this what you wanted? Did you want to talk about blocking too? Yes, kitties love when you're blocking because they think you should sit down on the wet piece, right? So I always like to keep it high and away from them. Jane likes to mist. I got a new iron in the mail the other day, a new high-powered steam iron, and it was given to me to review, so I'm looking forward to giving it a try and showing you. Kimberly, the blanket's not a circle, it is a square. It's going to be more square-ish than circle when it's done, but yes, I'll definitely be sharing how to block it. In fact, I may do it on the podcast tomorrow. Once my ends are woven in, we can probably do it here. That's okay, Kimberly. I know it's hard to tell what it looks like right now because of the ruffled edge. No problem. Don't be sorry. Oh, somebody wants to stay. Uh-oh. Yeah, so maybe tomorrow or whatever day makes sense weather-wise. If we do next day we do the podcast here instead of at the beach, we'll wash and block the blanket. That's a great idea. Oh my goodness, are you gonna fall asleep, you little sucky? I got work to do. I've got stuff to talk about here. Yes, happy kitty. He's very happy. Can't believe his brother isn't jealous yet. Becker always gets jealous of this stuff. Anyway, so the next thing I'm going to be doing with this chart is converting it into a triangle. So we're going to have this section be the chart for another project, and we'll do a top-down. What's to mist it? No, misting would be with this spray bottle. You do a spray bottle of water for misting. Steaming is with the iron. It depends on your iron, David. If your iron, if you have a steamer that's stand up, you could do it laying something hanging on a hanger, but most of the time steam and irons work this way, so I will have blocked with pins and blocking mats and then steam this way with an iron. I find that I have the most control when something is laid flat. Do I ever use a stiffener? I've used stiffener for various projects, not wearables. Yeah, if you have seen the projects that I did for hardened bowls and 80 handmade gifts, I did use a specific hardener there. It was more of an epoxy. I've also used more traditional like starching methods for jewelry, and you can find all of those products in my Amazon shop in the craft folder. Really cool stuff. So anyway, back to here. So when I get to this as a shawl, it'll be a top-down shawl. Started from the center here and worked out this way. And then I'll be able to show you how to do that ruffled edging by using this edging as well. It's going to be super cool. be really pretty. And it's cool that this pattern is easily convertible from square to triangle like that. Speaking of which, I am going to have a new PDF tutorial series beginning hopefully this week. It'll be this week or next week, where I'm taking stitches and really diving in and talking all about that stitch. So we're going to start with the basics, like starting with single crochet, work our way through the basic stitches, then start on easy stitch patterns, and then work our way into advanced stitch patterns. So it's going to be a long series and lots of good ideas and lots of fun. So in the series, so in the PDF, so in this first PDF, it's going to be all about single crochet. So I will show you step by step how to make a single crochet, how to work back and forth rows even in single crochet, how to work rows of single crochet in the round, how to make a circular motif, how to make a square motif, how to make a hexagon motif, how to make a rectangle motif, and how to make a top-down triangle shape, so that you can use you can apply all of those instructions to make anything you want, right? So then I have sections in there as well that tell you what are the traditional sizes for making various things in those shapes. So I'll give you an example. So in the and then there's going to be charts and written instructions as well. So it's going to be a super duper chock full of information PDF download. And this first one will be all about single crochet. Then, if that's not enough, there's more. No, I'm just kidding. I love infomercials. At the end of the PDF of each one, there will be one pattern that is using the stitch in the tutorial. So this one is single crochet. So the pattern at the end of this PDF will be a really beautiful and simple single crochet cowl. This is so cozy. It's the right height, it's the right width and height to stand up. So not for this morning, it's still hot, but think about when this is cold outside. Look at how nice that stands up on your neck, how cozy that's going to be. This one is made in Be So Cozy yarn, which is my number 4 worsted weight yarn that is superwash merino wool and bamboo blended together, but any of my worsted weight yarns would work for something like that. I love the texture of single crochet worked in the round. It is so sophisticated and just, I love the texture. Anyway, so that will be the pattern that's included. Each PDF will include one pattern using the stitch pattern that's in the PDF. Also, so for each section, like we're going to have square motifs and circular motifs, and then we'll have top-down triangles, and we'll have rectangles, and we're going to teach you how to do everything, every shape you need to make unlimited number of projects. So for example, and then the section for each of those techniques is going to have sizes for projects. So for example, in the rectangle section, I'll give you the dimensions for various placemats, various rugs, and things that are rectangular in shape. And you might say, wow, this is really fun to make a rectangle. Now what? Now what do I do with this? Well, I'd love to make a placemat, but I don't know how big placemats are. Well, I've shared all of those dimensions with you. So there's information on various size scarves for various types of people, from kids to women to men. There's various sizes of blankets and hats, and there's so much information in there, and I think you're going to really, really love it. And I think it'll even take time to process how much information has been put in here. So really excited to share that with you, and that will be out, the first one, single crochet, will be out later this week. Does anybody have any questions about anything we've talked about so far this morning? Look how hot it is, I'm sweating. Yeah, I mean, anything can be a stash buster, Vimala. Absolutely. You can bust out your stash with any kind of a project. Thanks, Lily. Yeah, it's a great size, and made in single crochet. It's so easy to do. Make a great last minute gift as well. Yeah, I missed some questions. Whoopsie. Oh, thanks, Judy. Judy's reminding everybody to give a thumbs up. Yes, if you enjoy my podcast, please consider giving it a thumbs up. I know YouTube loves to hear from you and likes to know if you enjoy my content, or anyone's content for that matter. Hi, Edna. Marlon and I are good. Marlon is in New York on vacation this week. He was in Manhattan yesterday, which made me very happy. I love Manhattan. I've always wanted to take him there, but he went with friends, and he went to my favorite place in Manhattan. He went to the High Line last night. He not only went to the High Line, he went there at sunset. So that would have been my first choice to show him in New York, and I'm so glad he got to see it. He also got to go to Times Square yesterday, and I don't even know what else because I haven't talked to him about everything, but I'm just glad he's having so much fun. Wish I could have gone with him, but that's okay. Glad he's having fun too. Yeah, for those of you that don't know what the High Line is, it is, and what would you call it? An elevated train track, I guess, that is no longer in use and has been converted into gardens. So you climb up onto this really wide platform that goes on for miles through the city, and you get to see all of these different amazing gardens throughout, and you see the skyline of all the buildings and the river behind you. And I went at sunset once, and I was so glad to see that he went at sunset yesterday. It's a magnificent garden. I love it. It's one of my favorite things to do in New York. So yeah, he's gone till Thursday. Hopefully his return flight is easier than his last return flight, but this is a nonstop from New Jersey, so I think we've got a better chance of getting home on time. Hi, Lily. Hi, Lisa. I think I missed some names. Sorry about that. But if somebody would like to pick a number between 1 and 5, I will pick one of our Create, Share, Inspire notebooks and randomly pick a quote. Lucy says 5. So let's go with that. All right, I think I started. I can't remember if I read that one recently or not. Oh, this one's good, nice and simple. Albert Hubbard, positive anything is better than negative nothing. Almost is a little math related there, right? But it's actually so much simpler than that if you think about it. Positive anything is better than negative nothing. Anytime you can add some positivity to your life, you've improved your mood, you've improved your surroundings, you've improved your chances of opportunity for anything to be better. And I love the simplicity of it, and I love the gentle reminder of it. I think that that's something that really gets me too, is when the quotes aren't too harsh. They're not too much like, you've got to do this. I like it when they're really gentle reminders, because we always need reminders to be gentle with ourselves, right? I don't know about you, but I'm really tough on myself. And anytime I can remember to do something good without being tough on myself in the process, so much better off for me. So I appreciate Albert Hubbard's quote this morning, especially for first thing on a Monday morning as we're starting our new week. Positive anything is better than negative nothing. Yeah, so no matter how many mistakes you think you made this weekend, or how many mistakes you think you already made this morning, focus on something good. Focus on something you did right. Focus on something you're going to do right later today, or just focus on something positive. The sound of a kitty purring, the sound of those beautiful birds in the backyard, the sound of your own breath. It doesn't matter. Just think about anything positive, and it will help elevate you out of whatever negative swirl you're in. Every little bit counts. That's the beauty of it. Doesn't matter where you start, every little bit helps. Thank you all so much for taking time out of your busy day to spend a few minutes here with me. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial, the sneak preview of new exciting projects that are coming really soon, chatting with me and everyone else here. Let us make time to create, share, and inspire today and every day. Have a wonderful day, everybody, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.